Well, friends, I'm back again, and this time I'm talking about this little radio, the CCRadio Solar from CCRadio. Now, I have a solar radio with a crank. I think I got it from a discount store for about $11. And you know, during the holidays, you can find these things in, as gifts. They're stocking stuffers and whatever. They get a little radio, you get a little flashlight, and you get a crank. And they're fine. But this one costs quite a bit more. And the question is it worth it? I'm going to spoil you right away and tell you yes. And then I'm going to tell you why. First of all, this is not a toy. This is not a stocking stuffer. This is a solid piece of gear. You can drop it, and it's going to be fine thanks to this rubberized outer exterior. It's pretty impact resistant and looks pretty good too. Now, at first I wasn't a fan of the kind of white on white aesthetic, but then I realized when you need this radio, you're going to be looking for it. You don't want something black. You don't want something that's not going to show up in your emergency kit. You're probably holding a flashlight, getting covered with water, and you need to find the darn thing. Well, white on white is exactly what you want. But here's why I think it's really worth it, why it should be in your emergency kit. It's not just a matter of this crank, which is, very nice, and it works really well. It doesn't take very long to get a good charge on it. But it's this big solar panel. This is a much bigger solar panel than you find on most of these radios. Bigger solar panel means it's going to charge better, and you need that. This is an emergency radio. You get a bright flashlight, pretty decent. It's going to work for you. Just like a lot of these other ones, you get the ability to charge your phone off of it or use it as an aux input. But there's a little bit more, and remember, this is an emergency piece of gear. This is something that's going to be there when you need it. And this one feature, this is why I think it's worth it. See, you have 3 ways to power this radio besides the solar panel and the crank. So really there's 5, but electrical power, you get 3 ways. First of all, you can plug any USB power brick or power cube or whatever into it. It's got a micro USB connection. Chances are in an emergency you're going to have the ability to find one, and you probably have a dozen of them anyway, so you can put it right with the emergency kit if you need it. It's got a rechargeable battery, a nice big 18650 battery in it. And that means it's going to take a lot of charge and probably last you, they say, 30 to 50 hours of use, which is what you need. And on top of that, you can put in a couple of AA batteries. Or AA's, takes 3 of them, and you can switch between using the rechargeable batteries and the AA's. So you got a lot of options. If this is an emergency, you're going to want to make sure this thing works through the night, this thing works during the day. You may not have an opportunity to charge it solar because it might be too dark and cloudy. You might not have the time to crank it, whatever. You need something that's going to work. And this gives you that power. So one more thing I want to point out is, like I said, you can charge your phone with it. So let's say you don't even care about the AM, FM weather radio. That's just not your cup of tea. But what would you be willing to pay for something that's going to be able to charge your phone when you really need it? Off of a couple of AA batteries, or off of a crank, or off a solar cell. Even if you think of this thing as just a solar and crank operated power bank, it's worth it. Hopefully it's the kind of thing that you're never ever going to need, but if you do, it's going to work. This CCRadio solar radio is available at Solid Signal now. It's not the cheapest one that you're going to find, but you'll be glad that you paid a little bit extra for what you get.